Hello and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name's Harriet. Today I'm going to be sharing my May TBR with you. So these are the books that I would love to read in the month of May. But bear in mind that I am back at work now. I think being off for so long and then going back and having to stand up all shift, it makes it really hard to get back into the swing of things. So for now, this might be a little bit ambitious, but these are the books that I would really love to get to this month. Okay, we'll start with the obvious, which is George R.R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm going to be going on to A Storm of Swords, and this is part 1, which is Steel and Snow. I've been really enjoying the series so far. I am currently reading the second book and I'm close to finishing. Oh, it smells good. So this is the third book in the series, but it's split into 2 parts because the third book was huge. So there are 5 books, but there's actually 7 in the collection that I have because it's been split up. Yeah, so I'm really excited to continue on with the series and keep seeing how the books differ to the TV series that came out by HBO. So far, I've been enjoying the books a lot more. I just feel like we can get to know the characters a lot more. I mean, obviously, look at the size of these books. There's a lot of content in here. But yeah, I will be starting on this one hopefully, and maybe even finishing it. Next up is a highly anticipated read for me this year, so I'm going to get to it in the month of May, and that is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This edition I got from my local supermarket. I thought it was really nice with the green sprayed edges. And I have spoken about this briefly on my channel before, but if you weren't aware, this story is set in a fantasy world where basically there are these things called blood ceremonies, and you go there when you're a certain age, I think. And your fate basically rests on whether your blood bleeds red or you bleed gold. And if you bleed gold, that is basically, well, you're as good as dead, essentially. So I think this will be really interesting. I've heard so many great things about this. Loads of people I know have picked this up. And of course it's beautiful, so it's been all over Bookstagram. And I've also heard that it's going to be part of a series. I don't know if that's true. Let me know down below if it is. But that's really good, because if it's going to be good, then we're all going to want more of it, aren't we? Yeah, hopefully I can get to this month. Okay, next up, unfortunately, we have got a repeat. So I did mean to start this month, but my partner and I were buddy reading it, and neither of us has really been in the right place to do so yet. But that is Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. I'm really excited to get to this. It's a non-fiction book about basically the history of humankind, all the way up to present day. I want to get to this so badly, but it's a really big book and I feel like it's going to be quite heavy. Recently, I've really struggled to latch on to any books. Game of Thrones has been like my cornerstone at the moment. It's the only thing that's keeping me going. There are so many books I want to read and I just can't get to them all at the same time, and I think that's what the problem is. So I need to take a step back. I need to stop buying books. Although it's hard because obviously the UK is open now, so I can go to all the bookshops and the charity shops, and when everything's so cheap, I just want to buy it all. Regardless, that was a little bit of a ramble there. I would really like to start this in May. Next up, we have a book that I haven't actually shown on my channel yet. I've shown it on my Bookstagram, but it's going to be a first for on here, and that is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. This, I heard about it on Emily Fox's BookTube channel, and she said that it was a really emotional read and quite a hard read as well. So I picked it up ages ago. It must have been the end of 2019, I want to say, which is a bit scary. But if you haven't heard about this, we are following a man called Charlie Gordon, and he has an unusually low IQ, and basically he is taken in to do a scientific experiment involving experimental surgery to see if they can heighten his IQ and increase his intelligence. And it's written like diary entries, I believe, are progress reports. So yeah, like diary entries, and it's just following what will happen to him, and I heard it is very, very sad. So I'm somewhat excited to start this. I feel like I'm going to enjoy reading it, but it will also be kind of painful. But it has been on my TBR for way too long, so it's time to get to this one. Next up, we have a new book. You might have seen it on my Bookstagram stories the other day because I went to Waterstones. I couldn't help myself. I had in my mind that I was just going to buy one book and one book only until payday. So I decided to go for The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin. This is really lovely, this edition. I don't know if you can see, but it has got like a copper effect to it. Now this book is part of the Hamish cycle, which is like the sci-fi universe that Ursula Le Guin came up with. So it is a fictional book. But with the books in that cycle or series, you don't actually have to read them in any order, and you don't have to read them all if you don't want to. They're all pretty much standalones, but they are set in the same universe. I don't believe they overlap. But in this book in particular, we are following Sherrick, who is a physicist, and he basically is going through the stages of challenging the society and the world that he lives in and breaking down those complex structures of the planet that he lives on. Now, I don't know an awful lot about this, but I do think that I'm really going to enjoy it. It's Ursula Le Guin. What is there not to love? She's a fantastic writer. I really, really love the way that she writes her characters, and her plot is always really nice and fast-paced without feeling rushed. And when I did put this on my stories, loads of people replied and said that they loved that book and they hope I love it, they think I'll love it. So I do think I will really enjoy this one. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. And I have mentioned before that I did want to read more sci-fi, so I do think that reading sci-fi by an author that I love is a great way to get into that. So I know I will definitely be reading this in May. Okay, now we are on to the books on my Kindle. You know, when I first bought this, I thought that I would still love reading paperback books more, physical copies of books. But I genuinely adore reading books on the Kindle. I think it's so great. This is the Paperwhite, so it's got a really nice screen to it. I think that's probably why it feels so much nicer reading on this as opposed to just a regular tablet on my phone. I hate reading on my phone. Anyway, we have got The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I haven't read this before, that I can remember. I might have read it when I was a kid or had it read to me when I was a kid, but I really want to read it now, and it's going to be a super short and easy read, so good to break up those chunkier books on my TBR this month. But it's basically following the antics of some woodland creatures and the mischief and mayhem that they cause. On here as well, I also started The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brussetti. That has been really good so far. I just haven't had the time to sit down and read both that and then a fictional book, because like I say, I've been at work, I have to choose between them. So I've been choosing A Clash of Kings, the George R.R. Martin book, because it's so much bigger and I need to get through all of those books in the series. So I haven't picked this up lately, but I think it might be the thing that I read in the mornings when I have my breakfast. I've been trying to do that because it's a good way for me to start thinking about the world and history and just getting my brain moving. But I do think it's going to take me a really long time to read that because it's quite a long book. So yeah, that is it for my TBR in the month of May. It might look like quite a lot to some people, it might not look like anything at all to others. I think I've got too many on there personally, but I would rather have too many and not read them all than just have a couple on there and have no idea what to read after I finish them. I find that TBRs give me a little bit of a better structure, although if you see the books that I read in April, they're completely different to what I thought I would read. Circumstances just changed, but that's completely fine, it doesn't bother me. Let me know down below what books you're looking forward to the most this month, and are there any books on my TBR that you will be reading this month or even this year? But that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!